that works with seniors and people with disabilities to leverage their lived experience into organizing for the issues that they care about in their individual lives and communities. And today we're here to talk about how we are going to push initiatives and the moral commitments in the San Francisco and Oakland budget, and what they are and what those actions can look at as we move together collectively to refund our communities and reimagine a future with more funding for programs that we care about and that will impact our quality of life.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica. I'm also a senior in Disability Action. We wanted to first say something about language justice. So this is really important to us as an organization and to our communities, that we have open and equal communication for all. So people who speak all languages, people with all kinds of disabilities, that everyone can fully participate. And we see that as a shared responsibility. So instead of putting it on somebody who doesn't speak English to make sure that they are able to hear it in their language, that it's a responsibility we all share, like the way we look at disability access. And so that means all of us want to set up interpretation on Zoom. So when we have people who speak Spanish, they can set up the interpretations for English. And for those of us who speak English, we also want to sign up on Zoom for interpretation so that when someone speaks Spanish, we hear the English translation or the English interpretation. And we will show you how to do that in just a moment. I'm going to pause there and ask Lindsay, our interpreter, to speak in Spanish.
Oh, Jessica, I can do it too if you want. So, la justicia en el lenguaje. En este caso, nosotros hemos avanzado mucho en Senior and Disability Action y estamos tratando de siempre proporcionar el tipo de apoyo lingüístico que la gente necesita. La comunicación abierta y equitativa para todos, de eso se trata. Y esto es una responsabilidad compartida, como el acceso a personas con discapacidades. Es lo mismo, ¿no? Tratar de dar acceso. Y una de las cosas que se ha logrado aquí, por ejemplo, antes esa responsabilidad recaía bastante en mí, que soy la persona que habla español, pero ahora es una responsabilidad de todo el equipo de Senior and Disability Action. Y eso es algo que hemos logrado a través del trabajo que estamos haciendo. Y en breve le van a explicar a las personas cómo escoger en el Zoom, todos los que elijan interpretación en Zoom y los consejos, por ejemplo, a recordarse de que hay que hablar despacio y claro, enunciar las palabras. Y piense sobre todo los puntos principales que quiere cubrir y hay que ser breve. Y no usar siglas o jergoncia. O sea, cuando la gente dice cosas como que solo las puede entender en un grupo pequeño de personas o personas que son de un país determinado. Entonces, de eso se trata, que podamos tener un acceso lingüístico para todos. Gracias.
And Ligia, I don't think we have any Spanish speakers here yet. Do you want to ask?
No he visto. Estaba buscando. Do you know who is the person that said that it was going to come?
I can't remember their name, but I sent them an email.
Oh, okay.
So we'll find out.
I haven't seen that person yet. I don't think so.
So a couple tips for us to think about to make sure that we are all understanding each other. Speak slowly and clearly. And this, oh, can you go back a slide, please? Thanks. This is important for me because I tend to talk fast and I say a lot. And so it's good for us to think about the key points we want to make. Think about it as a bullet point and keep it brief instead of trying to cram in all the words. And that way we can take our time to say what's really important. We are going to try to avoid acronyms or jargon, right? So that everyone understands what we're talking about. And stick to one language. So what that means is when we set up interpretation, we are going to be able to hear the language that we need. And if you switch, if you're bilingual and you speak both languages on the same line, it gets very confusing with the interpreters. So it's easier to stick to one language. So, you know, since we're doing breakout rooms and we don't have any Spanish speakers yet, if this sounds right to our co-facilitators, I'm going to suggest that we wait to actually set up interpretation and that we take time to do it a little bit later in the meeting. Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you, Lihia, and thank you, Jessica. Now we're going to move. Oh,
you know what? I forgot I was also supposed to say something about Zoom.
okay.
I apologize to folks. The budget season is moving so fast that we put this together very quickly, and we're glad to have you here, but that means, you know, there may be some bumps in the road. So turning on subtitles. So we do have automatic captions through Zoom. And if you go to the bottom of your Zoom screen, you can see it on here. On the left side is what it looks like on the computer. There's 3 little dots and it says more. And if you click on that, you'll have an option that says show subtitle. So go ahead and try that now. And then you will see the captions show up. If you're on a tablet or a smartphone, it may look a little different. You may have something that says live transcript. It may say options, but you will have that show subtitle option in there. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so it seems like most people are on mute right now, which is great. Just so you know how to mute and unmute on the computer, on the bottom left, there's a little microphone that says mute. You can just click on it and you can unclick it to unmute yourself. On a smartphone or a tablet, it's a little speaker that says audio. Click it the same. If you're calling in, you can hit *6 to mute or unmute yourself. And if we hear background noise, we may mute you, but then when you're trying to speak, you can always unmute yourself. Next slide. And to raise your hand, if you have a question or a comment, we want to hear from you to make sure that we can hear from everyone. We do ask you to raise your hand. On the computer, there's, if you click on participants, you'll see an option to raise hand, or under more, you'll have reactions. Oh, sorry, it wasn't showing up under more. You'll either have an icon that says reactions or you'll find it in the more menu and you can raise your hand that way as well. Similarly on a smartphone or a tablet. On the phone, you can hit *9 and that will raise your hand. And then you may not see it, but we will see it. And so we'll know that we should call on you when there's a moment. Next slide. And the chat. So 2 things about the chat. One is to make sure that this meeting is accessible for everyone, including people who are blind and visually impaired. Any things that go in the chat that are links or information, we will be sure to both read those out so that everybody can hear it, and we will email them to everyone afterwards so that we all have the same information. We also know that the chat is more accessible for some folks. And so to recognize that people have different access needs, we are going to leave the chat open. And if anyone has a problem or a question, if you're more comfortable writing it, you can use the chat that way. So on a computer, you can click on chat on the bottom to open up your chat window. On smartphone or a tablet, click on participants, and then it'll say chat. Obviously that doesn't work on the phone, but again, we will read things out so that everyone is getting that information. Next slide. That might be the end of it. That's the end of it. Wonderful. And I believe that we should start interpretation. I'm going to ask Ligia to step in again and see if we have folks who would like us to start interpretation. Ligia?
You're on mute,
You're on mute.
Ligia.
Oh,
Oh, somebody put please in the chat. So
okay.
I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Lindsay, was there anything else you wanted to say about interpretation before we set it up?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Bisma, I'm going to ask if you could show the slide about interpretation. So again, everybody, not just Spanish speakers, is going to sign up for interpretation so that we can all hear from people in different languages. So here's a picture of what it's going to look like. On the bottom of your Zoom screen, you should have this little globe that says interpretation. It's showing up on the bottom right of the screen. And oh, you know what? I have to start this to make it show up. Okay. So now you probably had something saying English and Spanish interpretation available. So you're going to click on interpretation. And since I speak English and I'm only learning Spanish, I'm going to click English. So that way, when someone speaks Spanish, I will hear the interpretation in English. If you are a Spanish speaker, then you're going to click on Spanish so that you will hear things interpreted in Spanish. And Ligia, do you want to say that in Spanish to make sure everybody gets it?
Sí, ahorita sí. Pienso que hay una persona ahorita nada más que habla español. Si puede ir a la parte baja de su pantalla, por favor, y ahí va a mirar un símbolo como un mundo, y ahí puede seleccionar el idioma que necesita. Ahora, todos vamos a seleccionar nuestro idioma. Los que hablamos inglés vamos a poner inglés, los que hablamos español vamos a poner español. Es para todos. Y si, no sé si usted está en una tablet o en una tableta o en una computadora, a veces se ve diferente. Cuando está en un teléfono, va a encontrar 3 puntitos arriba en la pantalla, en la parte de arriba donde dice, a los 3 puntitos dicen más, y allí va a poder ver interpretación en español. Si ya logró ponerse en el canal de español, ¿pudiera dejarnos saber? Gracias.
All right, so I'm going to ask everyone to raise your hand or put in the chat. You can physically raise your hand as well if you are on the interpretation, either English or Spanish. All right, Betty's on, Regina's on.
Por favor, si usted ya está en el canal que le corresponde, pudiera hacer una seña, ya sea que suba la mano o ponga en las reacciones, indique que ya está en el canal que le corresponde.
All right, thank you, everyone. Oh, Layla said, I'm not on, didn't see the globe. So Layla, are you on a computer or a tablet?
Just I'm on my iPad.
On an iPad, okay. So on your Zoom screen, do you see, if you don't see the globe, you should see like ...
Yes, I see that.
And if
Okay.
you click there, does it give you an option for interpretation?
It says, I'm clicking on dot right now, Jessica.
Okay, great.
Nothing's happening. I
Okay.
see original audio is checked. I'm trying to check English and it won't let me change anything.
Won't let you.
Oh.
That is strange.
Huh.
Sorry to hold up your meeting.
No, not at all.
Just go ahead. I'll figure it out.
Someone also sent me a chat in Spanish that the interpretation can't be heard in the Spanish, on the Spanish line. And when I changed to English, I don't think I understand. Ahí sí la escucho a las dos.
Oh.
Yeah, when I have English, but when Likia was speaking in Spanish, I heard her only in Spanish. And then the odd thing is when the subtitles come in Spanish, I mean, they kind of becomes a different world in English. I mean, it's very odd what they do with it.
Okay.
But that's, you know, it's better to not look at it. But so I don't know exactly what's going on.
The captioning is like that because they only know
Yeah.
how to do English.
Yeah.
Okay, it sounds like the Spanish interpretation is working now, so that's good.
Oh.
Mali, usted ya está en el canal de español. ¿Pudiera dejarnos saber si ya está en el canal de español? Sí, ya. Oh, ok, perfecto.
Yay!
Yay.
We have
Nice.
success.
Good.
All right, thank you, everyone. This is what language justice is about, is we take our time and make sure we're all on the same page. So I'm going to turn it back to Regina and Betty for our check-in.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience. I just love how we all come together around issues of equity so that we all can fully come into the room. So right now we are going to do check-ins. So it would be amazing, and I will start, if everyone could go around the room and say their name, their pronoun, the city, and what is one thing you want to see in your city's budget. My name is Regina Lynn. My pronouns are she, her, and Miss Regina. I'm in the East Bay with Oakland. And the one thing that I want to see in my city's budget, there's more than one thing, but at the top of my list is mental health and mental health alternatives for the community. And I'm going to ask Likia.
Hi, my name is Likia. I'm also staff with Senior and Disability Action. And what I want to see in the budget is that we put more money for social services, and specifically for the homeless, and that we get money from the police and use it for our community. That's what I want to see.
Thank you so
See her
much.
pronouns. And I'm gonna pass it to Melanie. Oh no, Melanie's not there. Betty.
Okay, great, thank you. My name's Betty Trainer. I use she and her, and I want to welcome everyone from the board side of SDA. I'm president of the board, and in fact, we're having our meeting this afternoon. And as far as what I would like, there's so many things, as Jessica said, but I will prioritize what Senior and Disability is particularly prioritizing, which is I'd love it if we got the money, the total of $6 million for rental subsidies for seniors and people with disabilities in the budget. Okay, and I'll pass it on to Sylvia. Oh, Sylvia, you're on
Okay,
mute.
I have to
Yeah,
unmute
okay, good,
myself.
thanks. Yeah.
Okay, I unmuted.
Mhm.
My name is Sylvia. I'm she, her, and I have been with SDA for 10 years, close to 10 years. And my what should I say? My heart goes out more on the homeless people, and the budget should go more to the people that has to be sheltered, like the deeply subsidized housing. We used to say deeply affordable, but deeply subsidized. And last week I just saw what is that? London Breed said about street wellness. Oh gosh, it's not human wellness, it's street wellness because street doesn't want to have homeless sitting around the sidewalk and dirtying and making as an open latrine there or whatever, or a bed eyesore or whatever. And anyway, I just mean they has to be housed. So my sympathy is on that. That's all.
Thank you, Sylvia. Good. Osvaldo, sorry guys, but, we have another person here that just joined. Osvaldo, ¿cómo está? Mire, para que usted pueda escuchar en español, para que pueda escuchar en español, en la parte baja de su pantalla, por favor vaya y seleccione el idioma. Ahí va a haber una ruedita del mundo. Ahí puede hacer un clic y ahí selecciona el idioma. ¿Entendió?
Next person maybe Lila, Lela.
Sorry, what? Did someone call my name?
Yeah, Lila is next.
All right, thank you. My name is Leela Harris, and I'm a member of your organization. As of sometime last year, I can't remember the date. And I think you do good work. Have great admiration for Betty and for Jessica. And I like to see a situation where we start looking at how that maybe there should be some money in the budget for accountability. I think lots of money is spent, and there are things that we need to spend money on, but I'm not sure we are actually tackling our problems in a very efficient way. And I'd like some money in the budgets for accountability. Thank you.
Thank you so much and welcome, Leela. I'm calling on a new member, David Mandel.
Hi, actually, I don't think I have ever joined SDA formally. I'd like to. Actually, Jessica, I am involved in the Transit Justice group representing the San Francisco chapter of California Council of the Blind, but I have never joined the SDA and I would like to know how. So someday you can send me a message and let me know. But I don't live in Oakland and I don't know if I have a right to say too much. I know that SDA is working on East Bay issues, and it's very difficult because it's such a large region, but I hope someday you will include Berkeley because it is a progressive city, and I think that it would be very happy to work with SDA, but I do believe the budget should include rental assistance. There is a California program for that, but that has not been phased in adequately at all. And there is also not enough money for food assistance for people. I have talked to a lot of people who are blind and have other disabilities and are not getting enough food. And so I am very concerned about those areas.
Thank you so much, David.
Sure.
And this is Jessica. I'm sorry, Regina.
And we'll talk about member onboarding at the end of today. Thank you so much. Jessica?
Yeah, I just wanted to say if anyone wants to go ahead and join even before we hear more about it, if you go to our website, which is www.sdaction.
I already put the link in there, Jessica.
I know, but we want to say things that we're putting in the chat, right? So sdaction.org, and on the website under the there's a graphic with, I think it has alt text about our annual celebration. Under there, you'll see become a member. So it's super easy to do it that way. I also wanted to say that today we're focusing on Oakland and San Francisco, just as David pointed out in terms of capacity, but we are delighted to have you. And we know that these are all regional issues, right? And so we would love for you to be pushing in Berkeley on some of the same things, and anyone else, please feel free to just spread this as much as we can.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Great.
Thank you, Jessica. That's wonderful. Yes, and next I'm asking for a check-in from Warren Cushman, who I know is a new member.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can
Good.
hear you.
Hi, everyone. This is Warren Cushman, and I am a member. I just joined this year. I want to say, first of all, that I am a member of the Mental Health Advisory Board of Alameda County. So mental health is very important to me. It is something that I'm focusing on right now in the East Bay. And so that's a priority for me. Also, in-home supportive services. I'm a member of the Alameda County Public Authority, and so those two priorities are what I'm going to focus on for the time being in Alameda County.
Thank you so much for your share. And next, I want to move on to Patrice with Disability Justice Culture Club.
Hi, my name is Patrice. I use she, her pronouns. Access needs are met. I'm one of the core members of Disability Justice Culture Club. And I would just say that I appreciate everybody's shares and answers. And I think all I would say is just maybe programs that are really geared towards empowerment and liberation, where folks can have more autonomy and empowerment. Check.
Thank you so much, Patrice. I'm glad that you're here and have joined us today. Asking for Jamie Carone, would you like to check in with your name, pronoun, and one thing you want to see in your city's budget? Hello, Jamie. Okay, perhaps we'll move on to Sheba Bandiba.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Sheba. I use she, her pronouns. I am the public policy manager for Home Rights, formerly Community Housing Partnership. Something that I would like to see from my city is actually building transitional permanent supportive housing units for our unhoused population, as well as accessing treatment on demand for folks facing mental illness and substance abuse.
Thank you very much. I'm glad that you could be with us today. Molly Alcantar, would you like to check in today with your name, pronoun, city, and one thing you want to see in your city's budget?
Hola, mi nombre es Mali. Se pronuncia ella, she. Yo tengo 5 hijos, 4 con discapacidades y vivo en Oakland y me gustaría ver en el tema de salud mental.
Thank you, Molly, and welcome.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I was saying, sorry. My headset was on mute, I guess, but I was saying I'm Jamie. I work at Krill Community Resources for Independent Living. We're in Hayward, California. Jessica actually was in this community organizer role before me. So I know Jessica pretty well, and I'm happy to be here with you. I go by she, hers, and her. Thank you. Oh, the budget. I would like to see more accessibility in transportation. So maybe a little more money towards that. Because for example, I take BART and it's really annoying. The elevators and escalators, they're often always breaking. So I think they should do something about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to meet you, even though on Zoom. Yes. Who needs to check in now? Osvaldo.
Osvaldo está en mudo. Ah, ok.
¿No está el mudo? Cris.
No, ya ahora sí, ya le escuchamos.
Oh, ok. Hola, mi nombre es Osvaldo Varillas Aguilar y soy nuevo aquí. Vengo conectándome ahorita. Y pues sí, está bueno la plática que están haciendo sobre ayudas, así que es para la ciudad. Y pues aquí quiero participar en todas las acciones que están pasando aquí y enterarme de lo que está pasando en todas las ciudades de Estados Unidos. Y bueno, vivo aquí en San Francisco y sí me gustaría que hubiera un poquito más de orden en esta ciudad. Y pues sí, un poquito más de presupuesto para la gente que no tiene vivienda o que necesita ayuda, para todos los que necesitan ayuda.
Thank you so much for your contributions. Noted. Next, Bisma, would you like to check in now?
Hi everyone, my name is Bisma. I go by she, her pronouns, or they, them. I'm also part of the SDA staff as a digital organizer. And one thing I want to see changed in the San Francisco budget is obviously to see the rental subsidies pass, as well as the moral asks for Oakland as well. Yeah, thank you for allowing me to share the space with you.
Yes, and I just want to let everyone know that Bisma is our new digital organizer in their first month, and they are responsible for the wonderful flyers that you're seeing, the digital flyers and the slides today. Thank you so much. And now, Peter, would you like to check in? Betty, have you had an opportunity to check in?
Yeah, I checked in, yeah.
Okay, so is that everyone? If not, please let me know. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you again for coming and checking in and letting us know what issues that you are concerned about in your city. So right now, we're going to do a general overview of the budget process.
Hi, this is Jessica again. I don't think we heard from Melanie and Huli, although I don't know if they had to step away.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I don't see Huli on anymore. Melanie, are you able to check in?
Maybe she's away.
Yeah.
Doing her
Dealing with the plumber or something. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead. So I'm gonna give a budget overview for Oakland and San Francisco. We have a lot of slides here, so I may skip through some of them. And we can send this out afterwards so that you are welcome to access it in more detail. So on the first here is a headline from an article, a news article that says California budget surplus swells to 75.7 billion, governor says. So this is an amazing year. I don't remember when we've had a huge surplus. I think a lot of people remember in 2008, 2009, what was it called? The Great Recession, when there were huge cuts at the state level to Medi-Cal, which covers healthcare for poor people, cuts to SSI, cuts to, oh my gosh, everything I could think of, CalWorks, childcare. It was really a disaster. And we are still fighting to get those cuts restored and to get back to reasonable levels for some of these programs. So this year, There's a lot of great stuff in the state budget. That means there's more money coming down to the cities and counties. And so we really have an opportunity. I also think it's worth noting that in San Francisco, Mayor London Breed, and then in San Francisco, Mayor Libby Schaaf, and typically every mayor I've seen likes to say, okay, but we have to be careful. We don't want to spend too much. You know, we need to save money for a rainy day. And they say that when we're in the middle of a rainy day, right? Metaphorically speaking. And so we are always kind of fighting this idea of we can't spend too much when we know our communities need it, right? We heard from all of you just now, we need money for housing, for mental health, for food, for just the basics, right? And that we know if we spend money on those things, then that's a better use of our money than police, right? That we say, we make our communities safe. It's having reasonable programs. It's making sure people have jobs and housing. That is a much better way to keep us safe than having police on every corner. So, and that's just kind of an example, right? But that unfortunately we have to head into the budget season knowing that we're gonna have to push for money to be spent in the community. Next slide, please. Okay, so starting with the San Francisco city budget, and this is pretty similar to Oakland. I don't know about Berkeley or Hayward, but I think they're all a little bit similar. So first thing that happens is that, well, the first thing that happens is like all during the year, different city departments like the transportation department, public works, aging and adult services. I think that's what it's called in Oakland. San Francisco, it's disability and aging services. All of these departments are figuring out where do they need more money, what has changed, where can they move money around. And so each department submits their budget to the mayor's office. And then the mayor, in San Francisco, the deadline is June 1st. In Oakland, I believe it's May 15th. I have to admit, I'm not 100% clear on all the dates in Oakland, but I will give you a sense of the process. So on that date, the mayor is required by law to present a proposed budget to the legislative body, which in San Francisco is the Board of Supervisors, in Oakland it's the City Council, and to the public. And that's kind of a starting place, right? After that, there can be some changes, but in San Francisco, the mayor holds a lot of power. And so, so the mayor's budget is mostly what is going to happen. The Board of Supervisors has to actually approve it in June. So they have some say, and they can propose taking some money out and moving it around. But mostly what the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco gets to do is they have what's called an add back pot. An add back means that they are adding money back into the budget. So that's where we are now, because Mayor Breed shared her budget last Friday. And it's decent, but of course it doesn't include a lot of stuff we want. And, you know, she makes it sound better than it really is in a lot of the areas we care about. So now we have to go to the Board of Supervisors, and they have maybe 20, 30, $40 million to play with. And we have to make sure that includes the things that all of us in the community care the most about. Regina, are you raising your hand? Oh, okay. Feel free along the way, you know, we're not going to do a lot of discussion on this at this point. We'll do breakout rooms after, but if something doesn't make sense, anybody please raise your hand and let me know. Okay, so the Board of Supervisors, oh, I'm sorry, go back one, thanks. The Board of Supervisors works on their add back process, and there are budget hearings that people can go to where the Board of Supervisors talks about individual departments. And then there's a public budget hearing at the end of June where everybody goes and says, here's where I think you should spend money. And then by the end of June, the Board of Supervisors has to do preliminary approval of a budget, because the final budget has to be approved and signed by the mayor in July. And there's all of these requirements about you have to have a first vote on it and then a second vote. So by the end of June, San Francisco budget is decided. Does that all make sense so far? Give me a thumbs up or a wave or something. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Next slide. Okay, so this is the Oakland budget process. I apologize, they're not all well labeled because we were pulling slides from different places. And a huge shout out to Bisma for putting together this beautiful slideshow. So in Oakland, what's on the slide here, community and council priorities, public engagement, and input from city staff inform the proposed budget that the mayor and city administrator present to city council. The council then hosts public deliberations and ultimately adopts the final budget. So it shows the timeline here, January, there's a citywide budget poll and staff engagement. March, there's a 5-year forecast. April, the mayor is supposed to engage the public. I say supposed to. May, oh, I got the date wrong. Here it is. May 1st is when the mayor was required to release the proposed budget for the next 2 years. She did it late, and there's not really any accountability there, which is a problem. That means less time for the public to weigh in on her proposed budget. And then the city council had a bunch of public budget forums in May. Unfortunately, we missed a lot of those, but there's always next year. And then in June, the city council develops alternative budget proposals. So next Monday, June 10th, there is going to be the president of the Oakland City Council, President Nikki Bass, is going to present an alternative budget proposal that has less funding for police, more funding for housing, mental health, and other community programs. And then similar to San Francisco, the Oakland City Council has to adopt the final budget by June 30th because the new fiscal year begins July 1st. So that is Oakland. Bisma, go ahead to the next slides. I may not go into these, but let's take a look at what's here. Oh, so this one is useful. This is how big is the Oakland budget? And on the left side, it shows citywide revenues. So it's 1.3 billion. It took me a minute to figure out how many commas are in that number. So it's a big budget. In San Francisco, it's I think it's more like 6 billion, if I'm remembering right. It's huge. So when they say there's no money, there's a lot of money to play with. It's really about our values and our priorities. So a lot of that comes from property taxes, a lot of smaller taxes, some charges for services. You know, it's interesting to note here that there's not a lot in terms of business taxes, right? There's a small business license tax, but a lot of it is just individuals, right? Putting money out to pay for services. And then citywide expenditures, public safety is 37%. And unfortunately, when we say public safety, it's not necessarily all the things that we think keep us safe, but that is really police and sheriff and fire department. There's only about a third of that, 14% goes to community and human services. And I believe that, you know what, I'm not sure where housing goes. I'll have to check on that. 70% goes into general government, which also seems like a lot. And then 9% is community and economic development. Next slide. Okay, so breakdown of the last couple of years where the general fund was spent. 44% went to the police department. Almost 25% went to the fire department. Housing and community development was actually less than 0.01%. Transportation was less than 2%. Human services, which includes food, senior services, other things, was about 2%. So this is pretty dramatic when you see where the money is really going. Next slide. I'm going to skip this one. Okay, so in the last fiscal year, most departments underspent their budgets by $63 million. The police department overspent by $18.5 million. And we see this in Oakland and San Francisco, that there's more money for the police department every year, and they end up overspending, and they put a lot of money into overtime. So it eats up a lot of the budget. Next slide. Oh, this one was in here. Okay, I already did that one. So this is a really beautiful slide of Oakland City Council members, and we're going to try to get a picture like this for San Francisco Board of Supervisors as well. So this shows that there are 7 districts in Oakland. What it doesn't show is there's one at-large council member, and that's Rebecca Kaplan. So this shows, it has a picture of each council member, it has their name, the region they cover, and their, I was gonna say their cell phone, I wish, but their office phone number. And just so people know, 2 of the Oakland City Council members that community members are really focusing on are Dan Kalb, District 1, North Oakland, and Noel Gallo, who represents Fruitvale. So if you are in either of those areas or know people there, those are the key people, but we're also going to want to reach out to all of them. So wherever you live is great. Next slide. Okay, and now I can't remember, am I doing this part or is Regina or someone else?
Well,
Regina, you're muted.
I could do San Francisco.
Yes, if you'd like to do San Francisco, Betty, I'll go after you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you very much. And these are wonderful slides. Thank you so much, Jessica. Yeah, and
Bisma, mostly Bisma.
Bisma, they were beautiful. Remarkable. Yeah, so San Francisco, we have a budget justice coalition, which of course we are part of. And so within that coalition, they meet on a regular basis months before this month to decide on what budget items they would like in that are social justice, racial justice, items that we want in the budget. So senior and disability action is of course, as I say, part of that. And I'll just tell you what we would like in the budget. And this was decided by our membership. Staff and membership met earlier in the year to make these decisions about our priorities for the year. And it includes activism, but it also includes, finance, money that we need. And I was thinking that this month, June, should be called Budget Advocacy Month, because this is our key month to really work on these. So there are 2 major ones that we're asking for. One is rental subsidies for seniors and people with disabilities. And we've divided that up into 2 parts. And $3 million, as it said over here on the left, $3 million for senior and disability subsidies. These are rental subsidies for, often in the most cases, these are people who are already housed, but let's say their rent is increased for whatever reason beyond their budgets. And as someone, I think it was Sylvia said earlier, we're talking about people that are very, very low income, living probably only on their Social Security and SSI, in some cases making less than $1,000 a month. And so we're asking for $3 million for rental subsidies for individual tenants who need it. All of a sudden, there's an emergency, their rent has been increased. They would literally become unhoused if they didn't get this. And then the second, we have 2 parts to our rental subsidies. The second one is $3 million for senior operating subsidies. So think, well, what in the heck is that? Well, what it's about, this was voted by the Board of Supervisors, led by Supervisor Norman Yee, who is no longer on the board, but we worked, Senior and Disability Action and other groups worked with him to allow a amount of money that would go to the senior building, to rental units in the building, so that if someone, a low income person would apply, to a certain number of units would be available at a very low amount. They would only have to pay their income needs to only be 15 or 25% of what we call the area median income. But basically the important point of this and how it differs from the other one is that the subsidy is with the building. And in this case, they're with new buildings, new senior buildings. And already at least 2 of the new senior buildings, one is in the Mission, have these subsidies. They have maybe 30 or 40 of them. So when people applied and they have very low income, they can afford to get in there because of this subsidy. And then the other big issue that we are working on that was decided by membership is, as we know, really shown during the pandemic, when so much was dependent on what we're doing right now, meetings taking place on Zoom, how to get information, how to even get the vaccine. So much of it was, you'd have to be on the computer. So we saw that so many seniors and people with disabilities did not have that access, did not have the computer, did not have the internet, or didn't know how to. Even if they had one, they didn't know how to use it. So we need money. And so we want asking for $900,000 for computer, laptops, internet service, and the training for seniors and people with disabilities. So those are the 3 big items on the agenda that we're asking for. And really, when you're talking about a 6 point whatever billion budget, this is small potatoes, less than 10 million we're asking for on this. So we're working together this month, and I guess others will be talking about specifically what we're doing, but there will be times when we can come before the Board of Supervisors, and particularly their budget committee that's meeting, has been meeting. And the big date is June 25th, Friday, June 25th, when everyone can come together. And there'll probably be, I'm sure it'll be a Zoom meeting that will come together. So.
Thank you so much, Betty. That was so eloquently and powerfully stated. And thank you for following up with that, with the asks and actions that we can take. I have a deeper understanding of the San Francisco budget because of your presentation just now. So thank you so much. So I would like to move into the budget priorities for Oakland. There are 6 moral asks that are on the table. Housing is a human right. We know that unhoused people, that community is by far a vulnerable community. The numbers are into the thousands, around 40,000. Unhoused people are Black, Brown, and Indigenous people. And we're looking at the historical implications of that many unhoused people coming from gentrification, redlining, even in the 70s when they brought BART to cut through a very vibrant neighborhood in West Oakland. So we've watched over, or witnessed, or heard about over the last 3 or 4 decades, Black and Brown Indigenous people in the community being pushed out and pushed apart. So housing as a human right is one of the moral asks. And then number 2 is reimagining public safety. People are really concerned with the messaging around defunding the police. People are believing that if we defund the police, who is going to take care of our communities? Well, we can do that ourselves. And that's already shown with the community responder programs by MH First and APTP, and also macro. And there's also opportunities for restorative justice and conflict resolution for de-escalating conflict in the communities. And so when we're looking at restoring and reinvesting in public services and protecting essential workers, we're talking about, again, a lot of the Brown and Black people in the community. And when we go to thinking about making corporations pay their fair share, a huge percentage of the police budget as Jessica was saying, is marked for overtime. A lot of that overtime is spent guarding a lot of these big box stores that are in our communities. And these stores are only paying as much taxes as the small businesses. So when we look at the Home Depots, we look at the Costco's, we look at the Targets, we're asking that, that they pay their fair share in taxes so that money can be refunded into our communities. So those are some of the things that we're going to be working on as we go into breakout rooms and we look at what actions we can take right now to go ahead and speak to what we want to see being refunded in the budget. So with your participation, we're going to envision what this could look like, to think outside the box, and we're not limited. No ask is too small or too big. I feel that it's really important for us to be able to speak and dream about the kind of communities and lives that we want to live in, because we deserve that. Because not only is housing a human right, but the quality of life that would make us thrive and come together in community, in harmony, is a human right as well. So I guess, right, go ahead.
This is Jessica. I can help us get into breakout rooms. So we're going to have about 15 minutes, and we have, thanks Bisma. So we're going to have all the San Francisco folks stay in the main room, and then all the Oakland or other East Bay folks are going to go into a breakout room, and there will be an interpreter in each. And this is a time, now that you've heard a lot of information, to talk about exactly what does each of us want to do to get towards the kind of community that we want. So let me make sure I have people in the right place. For the Oakland or East Bay room, I have Donna. Welcome, Donna. I saw that you joined while we were going. Jamie, Leela, you're in Oakland, right? Did I get that right?
No, I live in San Francisco.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, I will move you. And Molly, Monique, Patrice, Regina, and Warren. Is there anyone else who wants to be in the Oakland room or doesn't want to be in the Oakland room?
Warren Cushman and Monique Harris.
I have them both in Oakland.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open the rooms. We can always move after it starts. So if you're in the wrong place, just let us know. We'll work it out. Here we go. Okay, San Francisco folks, I'm going to go to Oakland because you don't need me here, right? And let me know if you need me.
All right. So it's time to talk about what we can do to pressure our government to do the right thing. And so we have department hearings coming, and we also have the big public comment meeting that is going to be in June 28th. I wanted to ask all of you to see, also right now, next week, we're going to have legislative visits with supervisors in the different districts. And I was wondering if anyone from this group would like to participate. Betty is already doing Supervisor Preston visit. And so I'm not sure what districts you guys are located in, but if you wanted to talk to me, I'm gonna put my phone number in the chat. And also, I should put my, oops, sorry. I send it to Jessica. She doesn't need my phone number. And I'm gonna put my email. A lot of the legislative visits are happening on the 10th and after the 10th. So
And those are really important because the
those are really
supervisors
important, yes.
like to
So
hear
you
from
can,
their own constituents. Yeah.
Betty, you want to say something about how the experience of that type of legislative visit have made an impact for, our ask? Would you like to say more about it?
Yeah, I could. Of course, the supervisors are, they're getting a lot of different people calling upon them. And it especially helps if your supervisor happens to be on the budget committee, because they're looking at things on a daily basis. But even it doesn't, if your person isn't, that's okay, because it's just important to talk with them about what's important to you and to apply it to your district. Say in my case, I'm in District 5, which includes the Western Addition, the Haight-Ashbury. And so I would, try to, and my supervisor is Dean Preston, who fortunately is a very liberal and very features social justice in his legislation. In fact, he's the one that put the measure on the ballot last year, where we're getting actually millions of dollars from a tax on very multi-million-dollar places that are being sold that's going to be used for housing and for rental assistance. So he's definitely the right one to talk with about this and to explain the amounts that we want, and to also I'm sure they all are being inundated by their, especially senior constituents, about help for computer access, et cetera. So just, bringing those issues up and saying how important it is for people in your district. I think that's kind of a key part, as well as for the city as a whole. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Betty. And so if you would like to participate, we have dates for, I'm not sure, even if you're not in that specific district, but you would like to participate, please let me know. I'm gonna show you I'm gonna share the screen right now, and I'm gonna show you what we have, other visits for the supervisors. Hold on, please. Let me show you this. So this is what we have. So we have Betty for Supervisor Preston. We have Ellen Cooper, another STA member, and Elise Cervantes for Supervisor Mark. And so we don't have anybody for District 10. I think it's Supervisor, God, the one I really like. Oh my goodness.
Which district?
Walton, right?
Walton.
Shaman Walton?
Shaman Walton, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And so, and we have District 7 with Mirna Melgar, and District 11, Asha Safai. And we have our talking points. So you're not gonna just go there, without knowing what to say. Is if you're representing SDA, you're gonna be talking about our ask, the ones that Betty was mentioning earlier. This might change a little bit because we're gonna have meetings with the mayor's office on budget, you know, that the people that are the ones working on the budget. We're gonna have a meeting this let me see. I think it's the same day that Betty is having a meeting. On the 10th.
June 10th?
It's at 9 a.m. You know, and so Fiona, who is from Independent Living Resource Center, is going to represent the disability and senior ask. So if anybody in this group would like to participate on this, please let me know. You can, I can, you know, give you, I can include your information in this schedule. Now, let me show you why this is important. Why this is important. This is actually our, let me see if I can make this. How did I go to make this? Here, I think. Oh no, what did I do? Where did I go wrong? Oh, I see it has some some motions. So this is our budget. So the general fund is only 36% of all the budget in the city. 50% is the enterprise departments like the public public utilities, you know, and other departments that like the health department and places like that, right? And then we have our general fund is only 36%. We have set aside, which are the like the dignity fund, the children fund, you know, different set asides. But the general fund is only 36%. And if you see that this 36%, you see it in represented in this other graphic. And out of that general fund, the 5% is the police. And this is huge, you know, this is huge compared to all the other, this is even bigger than what Oakland has, you know, much bigger. And remember that San Francisco is only a 7x7, you know, place. And so this is really huge. And when we are calling the city to defund the police, it doesn't mean we're gonna eliminate the police. It means that there's a lot of stuff that we want in our city to go to community service rather than the police. And there's a responding team effort that we are supporting that is gonna take the place of the police in calls that are regarding to homeless issues. So let me show you for us. This is, sorry. This
Yeah,
is
we
how.
have a few more minutes before we join to the big group.
Oh,
I was
okay.
wondering if we could share the storytelling into action in case people want to do that.
Yes, sorry about that. So now we're gonna also have a session where we're gonna make our stories. Bisma, you wanna share that?
Yeah. So on June 8th, we are holding a storytelling into action workshop where we're going to train and prepare on how to do public comments by using your personal story. And so that event is going to be on June 8th from, I think it's 2:30 to 4:30 p.m. And we'll be sure to send out the information in the email following. But I encourage you, if you haven't done this sort of work, and it is really scary and daunting to talk in front of legislators, to join and to get that sort of preparation with us. So yeah, if anybody has any questions about it, feel free to message me or any of the SDA leaders.
Yes. So this is, you know, why we're asking, you know, if you can either participate in the department hearing with your story that you're gonna craft, you know, at the workshop, or you can participate at the big public hearing for the budget, you know, and that's June 28th. Or you can participate in both. You know why? Because, yeah, go ahead, Betty.
Oh, no, I was just, well, one thing I want to correct myself. I thought it was the 25th. So I guess it's Monday, the 28th for that big one. But yes. I was going to, you know, follow up, what was said about Bisma said about the personal stories are so important, because it's one thing going up and saying kind of theoretically, you know, we want more funding for seniors that need housing. But when you say, well, if you want to say it personally, I only make, you know, a small amount. I can't afford this rent. Or if it's not you, it could be your neighbor. It could be your brother or sister, or, you know, whatever. And you could, you know, because then they listen. They really do listen, because they know a lot of the stats and they know the general, and they'll be at their computer, you know, looking, and then a personal story comes up and they kind of put down their phone or whatever they're actually looking at, and they actually look at you and say, oh, you know, now I'm hearing you. So that's why we're emphasizing the stories, whether it's your own personal story or someone close to you. So I just wanted to emphasize that. Yeah.
Yes. So you're going to receive a follow-up email inviting you to the workshop. But also I would like to, you know, if you want to, you know, I would like to get your contact information so we can, you know, make it more personal too, because, you know, the personal story is good and the personal contact is good too. So I would like to hear if any of you are planning on coming to the workshop, coming to the hearings, or coming to the big public comment day. Anybody? And this time it's gonna be, oh, Betty, of course. Thank you, Betty. How about the story telling, you know, the workshop? Are you planning to come? Osvaldo? Osvaldo? See? Okay, good.
Could I say something?
Melanie? Yeah,
could
go ahead.
you put in the chat room the exact dates of all these things? Because there's lots of different dates, and we have to, we're going out of town, or we have to check our notebooks, because they all sound very interesting, but it's a little confusing, at least to me.
Yeah.
We'll be sure to specify it in the email that we send out, because we have graphics that go with each of them so that you know what they look like as well. So we'll be sure to make sure it's very clear, because I know we were throwing a lot out while we were speaking.
Yes, but right now, like Bisma said, on the 8th. What time again, Bisma?
2:30 to 4:30 p.m.
2:30 to 4:30. We're gonna have the storytelling. And June 28th, big public comment date. Usually they start around 10 a.m., hearing everybody. And it goes on for a long, long time. Oh, we're back.
Hi, everybody. We joined you again. How was the San Francisco group?
Good.
Lots of plans?
Good. So we're gonna send a follow-up email with some dates, and we would like to get some contact information also from everybody to also get so we were asking for 3 different things or 4. We're gonna have the storytelling that is gonna be June 8th, 2:30 to 4:30, and that applies also for the Oakland people if they wanted to participate, right? Great. And for San Francisco, we said that we are having some legislative visits, and we invite people to see if they wanted to participate on that. Also for the department hearings and the big public comment date that is June 28th.
I just remembered that when you come back from a breakout room, you have to set up interpretation again. So I want to make sure everybody is good. Ligia, can you repeat that in Spanish in the main room? You're on mute.
Cuando regresamos de los cuartitos, cuando nos separamos, tenemos que hacer de nuevo, elegir de nuevo el idioma que necesitamos. Así es que Mali, usted estuvo en el otro grupo, entonces si puede ir abajo nuevamente a la bolita esa del mundo y elegir nuevamente el español. Gracias, Mali.
All right, I think Regina is up.
I think it might be me to do the closing. And so I just wanted to ask and have everyone go around either sharing how they feel or 1 to 2 action items that they are planning on taking after this meeting. So I can go first. So I'm feeling great. I felt very informed by everything that everyone shared. And one action that I am planning on taking after this is to work on more infographics for SDA in relation to this work. So, yeah.
Hi, I'd love to say how I'm feeling. I'm just happy to do any shout out that Jessica Lehman asked me to be a part of. I'm just saying. So, but the budget, so important. I'm feeling very hopeful. I'm always feeling motivated, and I know the glass is half full because we're some strong advocates out there. We're going to make things happen.
I am going to write my letters, onboard new members, ask them to look for accountability partners, encourage them to come to Storytelling in Action, participate in my first public comment, and anything else that's asked of me. The budget is important.
Great. I'm gonna contact everybody to make sure that you remember that we have very significant dates coming up. The department hearing dates, the big public comment date on the 28th. Don't forget that. Put it on your calendar right now. We can we can have that already set up. And also, I'm gonna to help Regina to talk to Mali and make sure that Mali becomes a member of SDA. So that's what I wanted to do.
Muchas gracias.
Hey, hi, and this is Melanie from OWL. I will announce to the board of OWL that there's going to be this public commenting, and we're also having a larger meeting at the end of the month that this could be announced about commenting on the public budget and public hearing for the budget. And I'm possibly going to get in touch with Lydia about going to our representatives. I'll let you know.
Yay, thank you so much, Melanie. Can I ask Sylvia if you want to share how you're feeling or actions you're planning on taking? Sylvia, can you hear us? I don't know if you are muted or if you can't hear us, but if someone else wants to go, possibly, while we figure that out. Shiba, would you like to share?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for having me today. I really appreciated having the interpreter there as well for folks who aren't able to understand English. And sorry, I'm talking over my mask. I'm in the office. But what I'm planning to do is relay this over to my organization, and I'm definitely going to show up for the storytelling event. And we're doing legislative work on our end as well, so we'll make sure to pitch in some funding for the senior disabilities folks.
Great.
Yay, thank you for that. And may I pick on Jamie? I'm not sure, I can't hear Jamie, but I saw that you unmuted, so I wasn't sure if other people can hear. Okay, yeah, so it's not just me. Yeah, we can't hear you right now, Jamie, but I did see that you unmuted. In the meantime, how about Osvaldo, if you want to share? You're also muted.
Todavía está en mudo. Osvaldo todavía está en mudo. Ahora sí.
Sí, sí, también me gustaría participar en en el taller de las historias.
Perfecto.
Ujú.
So
Yay, thank
Osvaldo
you.
said that he would like to participate in the storytelling workshop.
Thank you for that. And let's see. Mali, have you gone?
Ajá. Pues sí, yo que a mí deseo poder seguir abogando de una manera eficaz para todos que nos beneficie a nuestra comunidad.
Thank you. Let's see, who else hasn't gone? Monique?
I'm going to do the letters real quick. I'm going to do the quick letters.
Monique was saying, I'm going to click. In the Oakland group, we were talking about, we are going to create a letter about a letter to Oakland City Council members. And we'll do one of those easy ones where it says like, click here, and then you fill in your name, and then it'll send it automatically.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now, Jamie.
Okay, I don't know what's going on with my microphone, sorry. But I was saying earlier, I really like this presentation as well as the slides. I really felt like, so I don't know that much about budget, so Jessica explained it pretty well. So thanks for having me, and I would like to be more involved to find out more about the budget and city council meetings too. So that's what I found helpful today. Thanks.
Thank you both, Monique and Jamie. And is there Sid and Sylvia?
Well, if we couldn't hear from somebody, we're gonna follow up with them. And so we can figure out, what other things we can do together. But Jessica asked something in the chat, or she put something else, and it's about another thing that we can do, bring more people to the actions. And so this is something that is really, really important, because, one story multiplied by 50 is 50 stories, So, simple. And we get more attention that way. So I'm going to follow up with whoever wants to do a follow-up. I know that I'm going to do that with Mali. I'm going to do that with Osvaldo, and Sylvia and Sid. I'm not sure. Shiva, you're in San Francisco, right? So maybe we can do the follow-ups. And Melanie and Betty, of course. And so we need more people. Right, Regina?
I agree. Yes, if you can just find one other person, if not two, and they can be your accountability partner, because sometimes we just, find our courage and become more comfortable if we have that support.
Something Bisma said, I think it was Bisma or maybe it was Regina, that every story is important, right? And so there's no small story. We all have a story to say.
I am so glad you said that, Lihia. When I talked about the budget process, that's an important thing that I missed, is that you don't worry about memorizing all of these facts and dates and things, right? Like the city council members, the board of supervisors, they know that. What is important is your personal experience, right? And so for you to show up and say, here's what I deal with, here's what my family is like, here's what I know we need in the community, that is the most important thing you can do.
Thank you everyone for your wisdom and your time. And unless someone else has something to share, I think this is a proper place for us to close down. And we'll be sure to follow up with the email with the dates and the events and actions that are coming up that we all can participate in.
Great.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.